Chelsea against Manchester City. We've got that coming up this weekend. It will be at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea at top with 13 points from their first 5 games. City with 10 points from 5. Ian Dark, this could be a good one, couldn't it?
It could, and of course, Chelsea have beaten Manchester City the last 3 times they played them, and seem to have a little bit of a side over them. Thomas Tuchel has kind of outthought Pep Guardiola, so City have got a point to prove. They're coming off that 0-0 draw against Southampton, which was pretty uninspired. Chelsea were fantastic in the second half at Tottenham, not the first half, of course, but they look like champions-elect, don't they, at the moment? Liverpool do too, mind you. It's a great race, but I remember Manchester City coming to Stamford Bridge in the recent past with a point to prove last season and putting on a really big performance and winning the game and showing what they're about. And I just wonder whether this fixture will concentrate their minds quite wonderfully. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. But you would have to say, on form at the moment, Chelsea are favourites.
Will the fixture deliver, Stevie, for you?
I'm not so sure. You know, for me, the biggest difference in the size is going to be Lukaku. Chelsea's got a goal scorer and Manchester City don't. You know, I can see Chelsea sitting tight early on. I can see City coming forward. I'm trying to figure out where the goals are going to come from City, but then I can see Chelsea keeping City out and then breaking, and then Lukaku scoring to put them ahead, and then they shut up shop. That's kind of what I see. I don't see a 4-3 or anything like that. I see this as Chelsea showing that they are a side, that they stick together whatever it is they do, and I see them keeping City out. So I can see a Chelsea win, but I don't see it being a classic.
We know from the past that Stevie Nicol doesn't feel very strongly about Romelu Lukaku, right? And yet, the first thing that he said in differentiating this teams, Manchester City and Chelsea, was indeed Lukaku. Lukaku. That's the name he brought up. So write it down. This is a moment in which Stevie Nicol admits the greatness of Romelu Lukaku.
Stevie?
The proof is in the pudding, as they say. And yes, I do believe that Lukaku will, but I think he's shown so far this season that he's a man now. I always felt that one of his problems was that he didn't realise how good he could be. I think he understands now that he's the man. You know, he's demanding the ball now. When he was at Manchester United, he was quite happy to be told to go and stand wide. He'd be like, yes, how far wide do you want me to stand and how long do you want me to stand there? Now he's dominating. He's actually telling people he wants the ball. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I need the ball. So to me, he's turned into a man from just a big boy.
Jules, you gave us a combined 11 for these two sides. Would you like to talk us through it?
Yes, definitely. It was. I mean, some positions were really hard. We decided to go for a 4-3-3 and not the back three that Chelsea are playing under Thomas Tuchel since he took over Frank Lampard in goal. That was maybe the toughest. I went for Ederson simply on experience because I think he's got far more than Mendy. Mendy has been amazing since he joined from Rennes, especially under Tuchel. Then the back four, Rory Jennings at right back. I went with Cancelo at left back because I still think that Marcos Alonso is more of a wing back really than the left back. Ruben Diaz and Thiago Silva. The Thiago Silva that we saw against Tottenham was just phenomenal at 37 years old. The three in midfield, Jorginho, of course, to dictate the play with N'Golo Kante and Kevin De Bruyne. I think on those three, we're pretty certain that you would go with those three. And then up front, Lukaku as a number 9, of course, because City don't have one. And then on the wings, I went with Mason Mount on one side and Phil Foden on the other side. Of course, you could have had Kai Havertz if you want, Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, you know, whoever else you fancied, Bernardo Silva if you want. But I felt the Mount, Foden, Lukaku combination could be pretty lethal if they play together. So I think this is a pretty good-looking starting 11.
Jules, do you think there's a winner in this game at the weekend?
I don't. I think a draw everybody will be happy with. I think Chelsea would be cautious. I think, like they always are against City, I think City would be cautious to go away, to face Lukaku, not to expose themselves, because you know that Lukaku now can if you play that high line, can take that space, which no one at Chelsea could really do last season. Not because Werner doesn't have pace, he has a lot of pace, but doesn't know what to do with it. Now it's very different, so I can see a very cautious approach from both teams. I could easily see this one finishing 0-0, which would be a shame. I would go for a 1-1 draw, but I really believe there would be a draw.
Ian, did you like Jules' combined 11?
I've got a bit of a feeling about Mason Mount at the moment that he's just not quite himself. He's had so many games, about 80 for club and country in the last year, and I just think he's, for him, slightly off it. And you could question Phil Foden because he's hardly had a kick so far this season because he's been recovering from injury. But you couldn't seriously argue with it. You might think about Rudiger at the back, the way he's been playing, but yeah, it's a pretty good combined 11. It's a pity we won't ever see it.
Do you think Man City have to win this game?
No, I don't think they have to win it. No. Right now, if they were to lose it, we look too good at the moment. Defensively, the organisation, what Tuchel has brought to this team, is ridiculous. What he is getting out of this team, even when we're not playing well, we're winning 3-0. You know, we beat Villa 3-0. How we beat Villa 3-0, I don't know. But Mendy played well.
I don't think Man City can afford to lose this game. They'll be 6 points behind Chelsea. I can't see them slipping up that much.
No, and they're not playing well enough for them in City to make a case for them to and also they've got Liverpool the following week.
I know.
So if they were to lose that game lose against Liverpool...
If they lose the next 2 games, the Premier League title's over for them.
It's a huge statement, and mathematically, obviously, it's not, but I understand exactly why you've said it.
Statement, Melissa, wouldn't it? If they can beat them again, it would be 4 out of 4 for Tuchel versus Pep. Of course, Pep dominated that record, didn't he? He went in the Bundesliga and between Bayern Munich and Mainz and Dortmund when he was there. But to make it 4 out of 4 on the back of the Champions League final would be unbelievable. Because, I mean, just looking at that, Tuchel has his number, doesn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, that's why I spoke about the psychological effect there. Because what we've seen from these 3 matchups across competitions is Guardiola giving Tuchel's Chelsea a lot of respect by changing his formation 3 times, tinkering. You know, he used a pivot in one. He decided to go with no midfield anchor at all for the Champions League final at the start. So Tuchel's Chelsea is forcing Guardiola to alter what he's done at City to try and combat that. That is a high mark of respect. And we've seen Pep do that previously. I don't know if people remember, but when he was building up to that Champions League clash with Liverpool, he was in the Goodison Park dressing room just ahead of kickoff with Everton, worrying about the Champions League game with Liverpool, even though he had a very big league game in front of him. And I do think Chelsea have gotten under Guardiola's skin in a good way, in a very competitive, tactical, you know, how can I try and work them out way. I think at the moment, because of the Champions League final and the way Chelsea have started the season, that City have had a few stumbles, that they've got an injury crisis. From like a mental point of view, Chelsea do have an edge. The one thing City will hold over Chelsea is we've seen City prove that they are a 90-point team over and over again. We've not seen Tuchel's Chelsea prove that. Obviously, he's not had enough time to do that. But if Chelsea continue as they are, I think that race for the league title is going to be remarkably strong.
Yeah, I know we talk about the transition of Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. You almost sometimes just have to take a step back, and don't you, and think how incredible it has been, because he had his doubters when he first came in. Did you expect this transition to happen so quickly? Because the Champions League trophy, no one imagined in their wildest dreams as a Chelsea fan that post-Frank he was going to go and get that over the line. Yeah. And now it's about the next one, isn't it? It's ruthless in his mind.
Not so quickly. Absolutely not. He is a remarkable manager. And I actually, speak to a lot of people in the Bundesliga, have done stuff with Mainz and Borussia Dortmund before. And when I was getting information about him, they all would say, as a coach, on the pitch and training sessions, he is unbeatable. They never knew anyone like him, but he's very combustible. He falls out with players quite often, falls out with people at the board. Same thing happened at PSG. And so they said, like, while he's this brilliant tactical mind, the other side of it is lacking. The interesting thing we've seen with him at Chelsea is actually the inverse. He's very calm, he's relaxed, he's quite jovial. And a lot of the people I spoke to in the Bundesliga, you know, executives at these clubs, have noted that. They've said he looks a lot more relaxed, he looks like he's enjoying what he's doing. He's working with some of the best young talent in Europe. And I think his background stems from development, from advancing players. And I think that element is what he's genuinely really relishing there. The other thing is, yes, Chelsea spent a lot of money and they've invested heavily. And, you know, they didn't want Kepa, they got in a new goalkeeper. And they've added Lukaku now for so much money. But when you've got the tools, you've still got to be able to maximize it and stuff. His predecessor didn't do that. And for him to come in such a short time, and I think the biggest difference with Chelsea is that defense. They used to leak goals. They were so easy to get at. And now the opposition do not have high quality chances in games. Chelsea, like we said at the top end of the show, they have the ability to just completely nullify an opponent's strengths and keep them at bay for large stages in a game where, as the opponent, you actually start to lose, you know, all your resilience, your willpower, because you are getting dominated.
Yeah.